Welcome to Horror Movies and Beyond. I'm your host, Ivotres Littles, and this is where we review horror movies for the living to understand the dead. Today, I'm joined by horror content creator Kristie of In Love with Horror podcast, and we are going to discuss 1986 horror thriller Witchboard. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to talking about this movie.
Yeah, me too. First of all, wait, but before we get into that, she does have another half, AJ,
I do.
who happened to not be here. So he is here with us in spirit. So, okay, back to this film. This movie was long, an hour and 47 minutes, too long.
Yes.
It was just, they could have taken 20 minutes off.
For sure.
I don't really remember the poster, but I do remember the second movie poster.
Yeah.
Growing up. And I'm glad I didn't see the first one, but I saw the second one. So this was the first time for me. How about you?
This is my second time watching it, but it's been so long. So it was basically like I watched it for the first time.
Did you see the other two?
I have not seen the other two. Mm-mm.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, okay. You should see number 2. I think number 2 was better because I remember that one. Okay, so this film was written and directed by Kevin Tenney. I hope that's how you say it. Tenney. It looks like
that's
Tenney.
how I would say it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then it's right. So he came up with this idea after he watched The Exorcist in 1973. And it's the whole concept of progressive entrapment. If you haven't seen The Exorcist 1973, please watch it. Even the the director's cut version. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's scarier than what it is already. And so he said he doesn't really believe in the board, but it's still creepy. He thought it was still creepy. So
it is creepy.
And surprisingly, they're coming out with a remake.
I heard.
Witchboard. Yeah.
Interested in seeing what they do with that.
And it's going to be directed by Chuck Russell. Now, he did do Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Blob. I think they should just continue on. He could have did What Happened to the People and why about the house they were in.
Yeah, now that I would watch because I'm very interested in that story.
Because then you're not really remaking it, but it's a prequel, of course. But at least why remake it? He's going to make it longer, more drier, or I don't know. What can you do? I don't know.
I have no clue. I actually think I read an article a while back. I don't know if it's going to be the same premise. I can't recall, but I'll have to look it up again. But I think it's going to be like a different story.
But then why remake?
It's going to be like Strangers Chapter 1.
I have not seen any of them.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
I
well.
know.
I won't spoil anything for you.
I don't know. It doesn't, and I see it on there, but it doesn't interest me. I don't know why. Maybe because I've seen so much of it out there already.
Okay, yeah.
The first one, it's like, oh, it's so good, and then they show clips, and I'm like, maybe I've seen it.
You probably did.
All right, back to Witchboard. It came out in 1986. It's about when his girlfriend becomes dangerously obsessed with a ghost she contacted with is it Ouija? I was
like, why are we spending so much time on this word? The Ouija.
Okay, I'm Ouija. I thought it was Ouija because it's an O. O-U-I. Ooh. I was like, ooh. Oi. Ouija. Whatever. The board.
Yes.
Jim reluctantly joins forces with her ex, owned estranged childhood best friend to identify and exorcise the evil spirit. Okay, I read that right off IMDb. That was no, that was too much. Just as long, the description is just as long as the movie.
Yes, exactly.
They're at a party, a very fancy party, and this was 80s. I was like, look at all the 80s clothing
and the hairstyles.
Yes. Oh my gosh, big hair, big hair. Shoulder pads were like out to here. And I do remember having shoulder pads in my little clothes when I was a kid.
Aww.
Okay, I must be old lady because you didn't say you had shoulder pads. I didn't age myself.
I skipped that era.
Lucky because they were sweaty. Your shoulders are sweaty. Okay, so we meet Brandon and he's holding on to Linda on the couch. This is where I was like, on that couch scene, it wouldn't go down.
Heck no.
He got his arm on her. I thought they were together. The way she was like, her chest on his shoulders and everything. And Jim, who's her man, is sitting across watching.
She was doing too much.
Too much.
That could not be me. AJ would have lost it. I did not like Linda. Well, she was trying to make it seem like it was Jim's fault the whole time. And I'm like, why are you gaslighting this man? Like,
I mean, we already in the drama.
Yeah.
We're already in the drama. And that's when it was like, let's bust out the Ouija, whatever, board. The Ouija board. Let's bust it out and call some spirits. And you have to be, and Brandon's like, you have to be clean and don't smoke or drink, and looking dead at Jim. Reached his hand. I was like, come on, Linda. Let's call on these spirits together.
He did just like that too.
Right? Jim was like, I bet he wants a clear and strong contact. And Linda gave him a massive side eye.
Yes, she did. She was doing way too much against my boy Jim.
So they decided to call on these spirits, or whatever, David, this little boy named David, 10 years old. First of all, why are you talking to a little 10-year-old boy?
I have that same question. Like, why are you talking to this guy, this kid? And like, the way that they get so attached to him, I'm like, that's super weird. That's not weird.
Even in spirit, we do not accept.
No, we do not.
That was a little weird. Now, all kinds of things happen. I guess some kind of spirit. We don't know if it's David, the 10-year-old boy, or something happens. The Ouija board goes flying in the air. Weird stuff starts happening. So at this point, I would have left. That would have been it.
Don't. Not coming back either.
Nope. There would been no need. So he leaves it. He leaves it there. But this is where Jim is so unserious.
He is.
He was annoying. I didn't like him.
I didn't like the top.
I didn't like anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, was there any character at this point that you were like, oh, rooting for, or just getting to know a little bit?
Oh yeah, no. They didn't have any redeeming qualities for either of them. Like you said, Jim was extremely immature. Linda, I don't know what was wrong with her. Like, I just didn't like the way she was treated Jim, or the fact that she tried to act like Brandon didn't still want her. And Brandon, he was just so, what's the word? Bougie? I don't know.
I was trying to figure it out. It was so soap opera-ish. Like, it was so dramatic for what the movie was.
Good way to explain it. Yes.
And it turns out, I guess some of them were actually soap opera actors or going into it or something. Because what I read, the director wanted it character driven. I think it was a little too much because I didn't like anyone. Yeah. The dialogue, it was too much dialogue.
It was a lot.
There was no connection with anyone. Yeah. I didn't care about nobody. I hope they all died. Like, I just did not care. I think it was not enough like supernatural.
Yes, I do agree with that. And when you said earlier about there being, or the reason why he wrote this or wanted to do this was to show like a progression, but I feel like we didn't get any of that aspect at all.
Jim being so unserious. Like, even at the construction site, when he was trying to when Brandon was trying to tell him, like, hey, Linda's been acting weird, you know, have you noticed anything or nothing? And he was so unserious. He was like, damn it, Jim, I'm trying to be serious. Like, even I was like, damn, listen to Brandon.
Yes.
Like, but the Lloyd got killed by his magical hammer at the construction site.
That was so weird. It was very weird. I didn't understand that. But I guess was it really meant for Jim? Because I know they kind of like asked that question, but I feel like he was standing up, so it couldn't have been meant for Jim. And why only was Lloyd? Because he had another friend. Why didn't he die as well? If they were trying to take off the people around him, I didn't really understand his death. It didn't really make sense to me.
It was so inconsistent. Like, who is important? Is it
right?
Is it Jim? Or is it Linda? I couldn't figure it out. The funeral, the detective or cop, he making jokes at the funeral. Like,
what kind of detective is this?
we don't have time for this. My friend is laid out, you know, and you're saying, do you believe in magic tricks?
Yeah, that was so ridiculous. And did you see how Linda was looking during this interaction? She's like, she was in a magazine. She's like, I was like, what is she doing?
I mean, nothing matched to what was happening, like, around them. She gets a phone call from Brandon when they finally get home or whatever. And the conversation with her and Brandon was just too much, because he was like, did he cry at the funeral? He got ice in his veins. So disrespectful.
Very. She let him be like that. I was like, this doesn't make any like logical sense. Like, in reality.
At this point, you don't know what is the motive of anything. The Witchboard, you kind of forget about it a little bit. I don't know. This movie was so dry. I felt disconnected in the entire story up to this point. Like, I didn't know where it was going, who was important. It was, I don't know. What is your feel at this point? Where is this could be going? Who's important? Why is this happening? Who made this movie? And like, like I don't know.
Yeah, I was really lost.
It's not bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't Troll 2 bad.
Well, I'm like you. Like, I didn't really understand what was the importance of any of the characters, but also like the motivation behind the David character at the time. Because at that point, we thought it was David that was doing all this. At first, we thought, okay, maybe for me, I was thinking he wants to be like reborn, because she kept asking him about him being able to come back or something like that.
Choose his parents?
Oh, yes, right, exactly. So I was thinking, oh, well, maybe he's trying to like infiltrate her womb type of thing or something. And
I was thinking that too.
That would have been cool, but that was not what was going on at all.
I would have accepted that, like, because she's supposed to have been pregnant,
right?
And it choose your parents, and I was like, because that was my first thought. I was like, oh,
yeah,
he's gonna try to do something to possess her, but make her vulnerable enough that he would possess the child, and she has to figure it out, and all this stuff, like, oh my god, my baby's in danger. That would have been cool. That could have went on with the story, but it felt like it was a completely different. It went from that to, like, I mean, somewhere I was like, wait, what about choosing your parents? Because it was like, even at the party, it was brought up, okay, you're choosing your parents,
right?
You know, and everything.
So it was trying to give us a wrench or something, whatever you say. We like throw a wrench into
yeah,
thought or whatever.
Yeah, so I thought so too, but no. I guess there was a point where the spirit got too mad at her because she was like, oh, Linda was like, I'm going to give up the board. It's being weird. She goes in the refrigerator, knives are flying, ketchup is spilling, and she just randomly screamed off camera.
I didn't get that. Wasn't it twice that happened? Like, whenever something happened to her, we don't see what actually happens. It's like outside the house.
Yeah.
I don't get that part. Like, we want to see this. We want to see it.
Next, we see the medium. And I was like, this is a joke. I felt just as joke as he did.
Like, exactly. I was like, this can't be real.
I'm like, what and why? And she just seemed unserious too.
That whole seance thing was definitely cringy.
I have to admit, during this movie, I was like, let me go on TikTok and just scroll. Because I just lost interest. Like, I don't know, there was nothing keeping me. I don't know. But it's not a bad movie. There was nothing keeping me interested enough to know what was happening. Periodically, I would look up and see, oh, okay. They're still talking.
I didn't like the characters. So I feel like I'm like that when I don't really like care for the people I'm watching. I'm just like, I tune out. And because we don't have any connection with what's happening, so I was like, okay.
And then
we're just waiting for the ending.
And it took too long. Oh my God. Okay, so the medium is doing her thing. And then she was talking in a little, I don't know, a voice box thing. I don't know what was happening. Figured out that David may not be who he is or someone else. Who is it? Maleficent?
I don't know, something like that. But my thing is, she, the medium, got this inclination of this person. But she didn't say nothing until they had already left the house. Like, why didn't you bring this up before we left?
And then she was joking. So you don't know if it was real.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the point of that was. Maybe it was to cause us to not really believe her or something. I don't know. But I feel like...
Why did you pick this movie?
Well, honestly, it came up on my recommended on...
Who recommended? Let's find them. Let's find them.
I came up on my recommended. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen this in a long time. And I was like, let's watch this.
Okay, so after you watched it, what did you think? Like, we're going to get to a little bit more, but I was just like, your initial thought, like, after you recommended, after we put it in the thing, like, we're going to talk about this film, and then you watched it. Like,
well, I knew we were going to be talking about it, and then I was like, oh, I know she's not going to like this movie. But I feel like it still makes for a really good conversation.
Oh my goodness. Isn't it a conversation?
Because it is.
Now, the scene that they could have cut out was the cemetery. That was way too long.
Yeah. They could have cut that out. And also, the whole point of Jim going, I didn't understand why he went.
I know, and leave Linda.
And left her.
If she's being possessed and things are happening, that would go, I'm gonna go with you. I was like, why? So you're gonna leave her alone, vulnerable? Every time you left her alone, something happened to her. Exactly. So you're gonna leave her and go with Brandon, who you don't like because of whatever. And it's just like,
it made no sense.
I wouldn't have went. And they're in the hotel room, and then it goes, why Linda choose you? Because I make her laugh. And then Brandon was like, I make her laugh too. And Jim was like, yeah, in the bedroom. And it was like this sudden, it was like this awkward silence. I didn't even laugh. I was like, damn.
Right.
I mean, because he didn't laugh. It was like second. Oh man, I'm like, I would be whipping his ass. Like,
that's my thing. They let him get away with too much from the beginning to the end. Well, until he went out under the water.
Oh my gosh. And so they're trying to rekindle relationships. Now you kind of understand, like you start to understand the story. Jim is actually smart. Mm-hmm. His parents were drunks. So he started drinking. He started hanging out at Brandon's parents' house. So they were friends. Brandon liked Linda, but Linda, they had a thing, but she didn't really much like him, but she liked the bad boys because she's with Jim. Now we got that. It doesn't need to be an hour and 40 minutes.
No. And the whole thing about her like not wanting him, you read her body language. She wanted him.
Yes, she did. You know what? I probably would have been with Brandon. But then again, he was so snooty.
Yes. Super arrogant. I did not like his attitude at all.
Yeah, I got a fancy car. I got a fancy suit.
Yeah.
Why is she with Jim? Jim he could make me laugh, but he was so unserious. Like,
it was too much.
How do you trust him to pay bills, to do things, to be a dad? And he's sitting up there in the kitchen with a whole bottle of Jack Daniels.
That, and then they're so like the fact that his friends were like, oh, we're so overdressed, like we don't fit in with her friends. It seems like she's got this different lifestyle than he has. And obviously we do learn that he's very smart. He went to medical school, so he says. And so it's like, I didn't understand why she was with him. Even him saying, I make her laugh. But like you were saying, like, I don't trust this man to handle any business whatsoever. Like, he doesn't take anything seriously. Even when she was upset with him, like, he was doing the most to kind of like disregard what she was saying.
Say the smartest thing in here is when she got out of that shower. She could have stayed in there and burnt right up, but she took a towel and she broke the glass to get out. We see the guy terrorizing her, and that's the second night he gets, I guess this is the point he gets inside her. It's like, and we see the house and the lights or whatever. Now it's the next day. How far was the cemetery?
Yes, and like the fact that, because this is before we had cell phones and stuff like that. Well, most everyday people didn't have cell phones. So he left her at the hospital, didn't call to check on her not one time until it was too late. And he really, it's like, oh, I'm about to come back home, but she's already gone. I just don't understand why he would leave her, go so far away knowing she was in the hospital. Because I mean, like, anything could have happened. Mm-hmm. That was just ridiculous to me. Everything in this movie is ridiculous.
Well, he finally gets to Linda, and was she supposed to be possessed? Because all she had was a hat on and a black coat.
She had on a tie. I guess she was supposed to be dressed like a man. They had like the little voice thing. Like her voice was different. Okay. Now they fighting around. He's trying to figure it out. Like,
Linda, I'm trying to help you and all this stuff. And he was like, well, stand still.
we did learn that the guy, whatever his name is, Malefor, that sounds right.
Malfator?
He
I don't know. Shit.
Killed people with an axe. So now we kind of like put together the fact that his hatchet was missing earlier. And when he comes home to Linda, the possessed Linda is attacking him with an axe. And but yeah, other than that, you can't tell that she was actually possessed. Like there's no like physical changes to her body or anything.
No, but it turns out the house that they lived in was his house.
Yes.
And then they just kind of skipped over that.
They did. We just got a drawing and a book.
We forgot. Brandon did die.
Oh, yes. See how unimportant this character was? Like, we forgot that he died.
We forgot a whole death. And the medium, too.
Oh, yeah, she did.
She did.
She got slashed up. Oh, and then this whole time, there's the detective is still thinking that he's the one, that Jim's the one killing all of these people.
Oh, yeah. See, we don't give a damn about that. We forgot a whole, because I'm sitting here like, wait, that's it? That's too short. We're missing stuff. Oh, we forgot the detective. We forgot the medium. We forgot Brandon's dead.
Oh, yes. And you know how you mentioned the magic thing earlier when he was at the hospital with him and he was juggling oranges.
This movie was so unserious. And at this point, we are too. There was just nothing. Oh my gosh. When I guess, he figured out how to kill the spirit when the Ouija board flew in the air. And he shot it up. He was blasting on it. And then as he was shooting the Ouija board, she's like, would be cool if the Ouija board had blood coming out of it.
Oh, now that would have been really cool, actually. I thought it was funny how he tricked him, though. He was like, oh, I love you, Linda. And then she used her regular voice. And then so he kind of like thought, oh, okay, you're good. And he's like, oh, did you think it was going to be that easy?
But the whole time he wasn't for Linda, he was for Jim? Or was he trying to trick him? Because he's like, But then that makes sense because he could have killed him with Lloyd when the thing fell on him. But so
he didn't actually want him to die.
No, he wanted to possess him.
Oh, because he's a man.
But he wasn't so pure though, because remember he drinks and smokes.
Oh, yes. Okay. I didn't even catch that. See, look.
Okay, I must have watched it too much. I should have been more on my phone. Because I was listening to what he was saying, or Linda was saying, and I was like, but it didn't seem like that. This film was so incomplete.
Yeah.
For some strange reason. But when Linda accidentally pushed him out of the window, I laughed. That window scene was it was too long.
It was long.
It took him 20 minutes.
I was like, why is he falling like this? Yeah. And I thought he was dead. They got us with that one. Because I thought he died.
I thought it was a funeral too.
Yeah. But it was a wedding. And I'm like, as far as he fell, all he had on is a neck brace. I was like, why didn't they put him in a wheelchair or something?
Or some crutches. Oh my
something. God. I was like, there's no way he just got on a neck brace.
So you got the landlady. Oh, we forgot about the landlady. I don't know. Something was weird nosy about her. She was weird. She was way too nosy. She all in their house. I'm like, how did you get in here? And how did you get a key? I was just walking in.
Every time something happens, she's like, is everything okay?
I'm like, everybody locked their doors. She was walking in.
Right.
But so she's cleaning up the house. I wonder if they get their deposit back.
Nah, because she was shaking her head the whole time, like, look at this, miss.
So, and then you have it where they look at the Ouija board or whatever, and she was like, "Oh, does it still work?" Probably not, or whatever. And they threw it in a box, and then it zooms in, and then you see the thing move to yes and cuts off.
What's his name again? Malafort. Malafort is coming back.
Malforder. They choose who wrote that name. That was an unhinged name. I think it was so unhinged because it just took forever to say it. But the most interesting thing about this is that the guy who created Ouija board, which I have, and I do have one. Now I'm not going to do anything because I'll be the first one to run out of my own house. I gotta stay here.
Right.
No. And there's something I noticed every time they moved it around. What do you know what you have to do in order to close the gate of the spirit? They did not do it.
Goodbye or thank you goodbye.
They never said goodbye. So every time they talked,
they were leaving the portal open.
And that's how that other guy got in.
Yeah.
Because they never said goodbye. Always say goodbye.
Yeah.
Always. So.
Okay. So it must have been her that did that, right? Because the second time they did it, they didn't do it. They didn't say goodbye.
The first time they didn't when it flipped in the air.
Yeah, right. That's right.
It was not patent.
Oh, I would have never known
So
that.
they had investors. This is from 1886. Blah, blah, blah. In order to get anything patent, you had to prove it worked. They actually proved it works.
Glad I wasn't there that day.
Girl, in the 1800s.
I know, right?
You'll be there, but doing something else.
Yes.
It'd be a whole lot of masses.
Yes.
Picking cotton. Now, what I read about this, the Ouija is actually a mistake, probably a misspelled. And it says right here, it says she was wearing a locket bearing a picture of a woman named, it says Ouija above her head. So they were looking at something that had a locket. When they asked the board, what should they call it? Now, he came up with the name Ouija, but it was misspelled. So the woman name who's a woman's right activist is Ouida. So he misspelled it. So they could be he misread it. But it says the medium, Helen Peters, asked the board name itself. What are you? The board said, good luck. I don't think it was saying, call me good luck. I think it was like, good luck to figure it out.
Probably.
So they couldn't use Ouija because at the time of the film, it was not trademarked. The name wasn't trademarked. So it was just out there. Right. So that's why in the movie, you don't see it. That's why they called it Witchboard.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. On the board. Yeah. They had to change up the board or whatever. It's like, uh-oh. Okay. But the Parker brothers, as a result, it says the Ouija board name was acquired by Parker Brothers in 1991. So that's when it was like they could use the title. Now there's some instructions. We're gonna just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, right? So it's telling you the do's and don'ts or something here. It says never use the Ouija board if you think it's just a game. Well, I'm out. Never use the Ouija board alone.
Oh, right. That's what they said in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Linda.
Never use the Ouija board in a cemetery.
Okay. I've seen people do that.
Yeah, I did too.
See, they do too much. They not following the rules.
Nope. Never leave the planchette on the board when you're not using it.
They did that too in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Never forget to say goodbye to the Ouija spirits. And there's something I noticed. Every time they moved it around,
they were leaving the portal open.
And that's how that other guy got in.
Yeah.
Because they never said goodbye. Always say goodbye.
Yeah.
Always. So.
Okay. So it must have been her that did that, right? Because the second time they did it, they didn't do it. They didn't say goodbye.
The first time they didn't, when it flipped in the air.
Yeah, right. That's right. They messed up all the rules.
They messed them all up. So this is the first time, I have to admit, this is the first time, based on this film, that I would welcome a remake.
I was actually thinking that as we were talking about it. I was like, they do need to remake this movie.
Man, they really do need to remake it because it is long and dry. So overall experience, now we got through all the characters, the stories, we figured out who's the spirit. We understand that the Ouija board actually named itself Good Luck, but no, it was telling you good luck finding the name. So your overall experience on this film, what do you think?
I mean, it was a time, and as we talked about it, I can see potential in a remake because I feel like he has some good ideas. He just put too many of them together. So if they kind of narrow down the concept, I think that they could do something good with another movie of this. But yeah, the movie was just kind of boring, long. Characters weren't that interesting, and I was more interested in seeing what happened to old boy back in the day in his house.
Yeah, it just touched on it.
Yeah.
Oh, remember the grave scene where David's parents died 2 weeks from there, or a week before that, or something like that, like very recent.
Oh, I must not have been attention on that part.
Because it was so brief. Like it just left you hanging. It was like, so we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about the house that you guys are living in. Is this spirit that's killing your friends and attacking?
Yeah.
It was just everything was just looked over.
Yeah.
But when it was too character driven to the point that there was no story.
Yes.
It was like a long soap opera.
That's exactly what it was. It was a soap opera. Because look, we were way more invested in the dynamic between the three of them than what was happening to Linda. How they were able to prove that it worked.
When the medium asked the board.
Oh, because that was their way of showing that it does stuff or whatever. Okay.
Just right now, my thing was flickering. Something I was looking at was moving like this. She's like, okay, we're done. We're done. I'm never coming on your show again.
Not until you get it cleansed. You gotta cleanse it now.
Wait. I have my little cleansies.
Okay, yes. Make sure you do that. Let's take care of that today.
Well, see, just make sure the smoke goes into the mechanics so you get to your house. And
yeah.
You start. I always like the smell of these.
It does smell good.
So, I grew up with this kind of stuff. It doesn't. Nice. It isn't scary to me. I grew up with my mom very in the Southern, so she believed in everything. She used to tell us some scary stories. Woo! Some real horror stories that she told us about the voodoo out there and don't go do this and that, and they believed it. So that's a whole nother.
We gotta swap some stories then.
Okay. We should swap it like live like this, and then
that would be fun.
And then I'll send you whatever, and then we have our own clips, and then you could do whatever.
That would be cool. Yeah,
and scare ourselves to death.
We could do it at nighttime.
Okay, so we're gonna end it. We don't want any weird stuff because my mouse was over here. You can see I'm putting it down, and this thing was kind of going, and I was like, I was looking at the mouse while you were talking. I was like, we're not gonna be doing this. We're not gonna be doing this.
We're gonna do some. What does it say? Some Hail Marys.
I got 2 cats. If they start running, I'm running with them.
All right. They'll let us know.
When they're low to the ground and trying to get something, then that's when I'm low to the ground. You know, I'm like, my cats are black. They don't stick around for nobody. Okay. We're going to leave it on that. Thank you.
Thank you
so much for coming here talking about Witchboard. Yes.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. This is really, really fun.
So, yes, you do have a podcast and other things. Let everyone know where they can find you and AJ.
Yes, you can find me and AJ, my other half, who's working, to support us.
He's the lucky one. He's not seeing all the scary stuff and talking about it.
Oh, he's definitely gonna be glad when I tell him that you bought a Ouija board. But you can find us everywhere. Basically, we're on Instagram. Well, I'm on TikTok, but I don't really use it. YouTube is where you'll find us primarily. And our podcast is also on Apple and Spotify. In Love with Horror, you can just search that and you'll find us. And we just talk about movie reviews. We do discussions, and every Sunday we do a live news discussion on YouTube Live.
And make sure you check them out. They are fabulous. They're great, very knowledgeable. You guys are very soft-spoken too. When I sit and watch you guys, it's like I feel like it's like therapeutic because the way you guys talk about it, you're like, it was this way, it was that way.
It's funny. A lot of people say that.
Oh, really? And you're like, But you guys have great chemistry together because you are a couple. You guys are together, and it's just adorable.
Thank you.
It really is. So, but thank you so much. Check out Witchboard if you want.
Wait for the remake.
This is the first time I'm like, a remake? I'm confused with this one. But like I said, thank you everyone for watching, and make sure you like, subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment and share. Kristie and AJ in Love with Horror Podcast. So till next time, everyone. Bye.